Hi everyone, Anna Batting. Thank you so much for joining us for another at-home workshop. This is hands down my favorite workshop that we do throughout the seasons, and I'm so sorry that we're not able to have you in the greenhouse this year. So you'll have to send me pictures or tag us on social media because I'm always so blown away with the unique creations you all come up with. So let me first start by saying, please do not break the stem off of your pumpkin or puncture the pumpkin in any way. We want these pumpkins to last through Thanksgiving, and they will, as long as there's no wounds or breakage in the skin. So we will not be planting inside the pumpkin. We will actually just be gluing our succulent cuttings onto the top of the pumpkin. So I have a couple examples here. If you're not familiar with the pumpkin succulent arrangements, you can always come into the greenhouse as well and check them out. We always have some done up, but you can't really mess it up. It's a very beautiful workshop. You have great ingredients, the gorgeous pumpkins, gorgeous succulents, your creative taste, so you're going to do great. I'll first talk about the care of the arrangement since it's a little bit of a lengthy instructional video, and then we'll dive into how to put it together. In regards to care, you want the pumpkin succulent arrangement to be in indirect light. You do not want it to be in a really hot, sunny location. So center of a kitchen table that gets indirect light, or a coffee table in the living room is a perfect spot. The succulents are cuttings, so they don't need that bright light that you think of normally when you think of a succulent arrangement. In regards to watering, the succulents are going to be glued onto a moss layer on top of the pumpkin, and you'll just want to spritz it once a week. So just a couple little mists once a week, and that will keep the succulents going. Because you're going to have the moisture from the spritzing, I do recommend putting the pumpkin on a piece of cardboard or a cloth napkin just to absorb any moisture that flows over the side of the pumpkin, so it's not sitting on the pumpkin on a hard surface, which sometimes can lead to rot. So that's how you care for the arrangement. Now the fun portion. So what you have in front of you is your heirloom pumpkin, which we have so nicely washed and glossed for you. They're shiny, but they're not normally this shiny. You have a kind of squirrel nest looking friend here in a bag, and this is Spanish moss. You have your succulent cuttings, and then you also have some fall decor pieces to incorporate for that nice little touch of harvest. You also have floral glue, so fair warning with the floral glue, this comes out fast, so a little dab will do ya with this stuff. Just beware, you get it on your hands, fine, it comes off, just try not to get it on your clothes. And I do recommend a pair of scissors. I hope everyone has scissors at home, just in case you need to cut down any of the succulent stems or the branches, you can do so. So I'm just gonna move these to the side. So step number one is to create your moss mat on your pumpkin. So remove the Spanish moss from the baggie, and what you'll want to do is, as you open your floral glue, open it right side up, and then just do a little zigzag on top of the pumpkin for the moss, like so. If you have a pumpkin like I do here that has a big divot in the middle, you're going to want to put a little extra moss in there just to support the succulents that are going to be placed in there so they don't kind of sink in. And then you're going to put a light layer of Spanish moss. So just kind of break this up so you're not chunking it in perfect spots, and it's okay for it to be messy. Like you can see here, it's kind of overflowing. That's perfect. I'm going to do a little bit thicker around the stem because I have that big gap in the middle. Just lightly go on top. So it's going to cover not the entire top of the pumpkin, but probably, I don't know, almost like 3/4 of the top of the pumpkin. So that's how it looks when you start with your moss topping. Now your succulent arrangement. So you can either lay everything out and then go back through and glue it, or I just like to dive in and start gluing, whatever you're comfortable with. But what I would start out with are your biggest pieces. So we have different sizes and colors of your succulent cuttings included with the kit. And I like to start out with my biggest pieces, as those are kind of your focal point. And I do like to include the faux gourd as one of my large pieces, just to kind of think about where that's going to go. And then try and have some of your big pieces more upright in the middle. That way you don't have just everything flopping to the side. And you can help support some of those big pieces with either more moss or the smaller succulents. So you can see there how it looks. I've just gently placed those, and I'm happy with how that looks, and I know it's going to come together beautifully. So I'm going to glue those pieces in. So with the glue, as I said before, it comes out pretty fast, and you don't need a ton for it to hold. So I'm just going to do a little bit on the stem, then stick it in, and it's always a little adjustable after. The nice thing with this glue is it's flexible, it's not stiff, like super glue. You can kind of adjust it after. All right, and then we'll put a little bit on my gourd. Okay, great start. So I know I'm going to want this guy to perk up a little bit, and same thing with this, I want it to be upright. So I'm going to use my smaller succulent cuttings here to make sure that happens. And then, as I said before, we have a good mix of colors and textures. So I just removed the bottom leaves of this because I know I'm going to want this stem to kind of stick into the side here like that. So that's okay to remove the bottom leaves. And if you need to cut it down, feel free to cut the stem of the succulent as well if it's jutting out too far. So I'm going to put this bright orange one next to the purple and green. And then you can just go around and fill in. Once you get your focal piece created, it's a great start. Great. So now I have it all created with all my succulents and my gourds. And now I want to just add some of the fall accent pieces in. So I personally love, these are dried Milo berries. I love these for a pop of color. And as I said before, they just really fill in spaces. So you can either do a mix of the colors. I know we included both the orange and the brown. You can either do a mix of the colors, or you can just choose one to do. And I think I'm going to do the orange mixed in here just because it really pops nicely against the green. And then we also have the ryegrass and the cornstalk. So I tend to put these in at the beginning, but I just forgot because it's actually pretty nice. You can have it laid through and then have the stem of the cornstalk come out on the other end, which really looks really cool. But what I'm going to do, I don't like the centerpiece on that. It's always so awkward. I'm just going to put some of the fun flower portion of this and kind of just stick these in here for some height and different texture. So I'm just going to nestle it in here. Just a little bit of glue. It doesn't need a lot because it's actually just going to hold itself in here. Just work it down in so it looks like it was there from the beginning, which I forgot to do, but that's okay. And then ta-da! I'm going to hide it in a little bit more. There we go. Here we are. Voila! Centerpiece done. So of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us if you want to know about how to care for the succulents after they grow out a little bit. But we are here. So thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy!